Hey everybody, it's me, Joel, and today we're taking a look at Revolution, which is the game that people asked for next. This game is by duBarry as well as Courtier, the last game I took a look at. First things first, I'm going to just take a look at some of the components here. So you get this bag of tokens here. There's three different kinds of tokens. There are force tokens, there's gold, and then there's blackmail. Then you also get a bunch of wooden cubes, plus your score trackers. Then moving on here, you get these, every player gets a shield, like a board, and these boards that you get are, this is where Steve Jackson games are a really excellent job. These player shields are like actual board game boards. So this game is basically an area control type game. So you need to, each of these areas of the city, you need to have the highest influence in there in order to get the support or get the points that are available to those areas by having the most cubes in each area. So as I look around the board, there's the plantation, the tavern, the cathedral, the town hall, that empty space, which I'll talk about here in a second, the fortress, the market, and the harbor. And then, so the palace here, the palace, it's kind of interesting too because it just lays in here and it allows you to play with more players and it gives you a slightly different player board. So that's one of the expansions that comes with this game. I'm not going to talk about it much today, but it is a nice addition. You can play with more players that way, and then you also get a few extra spots on your board. So the way how this works is each player, I have two faux players set up here so we can kind of see how a round would work. Each player gets some tokens, and you're going to secretly bid. So I would tell everybody what I'm going to bid with. I would tell them what currency I'm going to use. So I'm using 3 gold, 1 blackmail. And they would all know that. And then I would place these on the cubes here to try and get what they say. So I'm not going to read all these to you. But they each give you a benefit. Each of these things does. And there's kind of like a hierarchy of what beats whatever else. So the thing that's the most powerful currency in this game is force. So basically if you go and beat somebody up at, the things that are red can't use force, so you can't, use force at the fortress, and you can't use force at the harbor, because those guys are rough and tumble. And you can't use force with the mercenary, or the apothecary, or with the rogue. And that's thematic, because if you go use force with those guys, they're going to use force back and probably whoop you. So, you can blackmail things, too. Blackmail is the second highest currency, but you can't blackmail Town Hall, and you can't blackmail the Tavern. You can't blackmail the spy and the mercenary. And this is one thing where I don't like these standard boards as well as the expanded boards. So if you look at the expanded boards, you can pretty clearly see what color is what. On these, the colors match really similarly. So like, you can see the difference there, but it's not as pronounced as it is on these boards. Plus there's a few extra spots on these that are kind of fun to play. So at any rate, we're going to move on though. There's all these currencies that you can use to influence and win influence in different places, and they give you other things too. So I'm going to just show you what I did. I did the captain. I put blackmail on the captain, and that gives me 1 support, plus it gives me 1 force, plus it influences the harbor. And I mostly would go there because I wanted to get some more force. Then I'd try and bribe the innkeeper by giving him 2 gold. And then I also give 2 gold to the rogue, and he's going to give me 2 blackmail in the back. This guy's going to give me 1 blackmail, and I'm going to influence the tavern and get 3 support. And then the apothecary I put 1 gold on. So that lets me swap any 2 cubes in any 2 influence spaces. So that lets me take my influence here at the fortress, and I can move it up to the tavern and close the tavern out, get those points there. So at any rate, kind of neat. All these things are actually really neat that you can do on this game. So one thing I wanted to just mention too is I do this in secret, and then there's an auction basically. So whoever has the highest amount of the highest currency that's legal in each spot gets that spot. They win that spot. So in my fake play here, I'm going to say I played like this, and let's see how my fake players played. Here's how my fake players played. They played a blackmail, a gold, and a gold, or 2 gold, and another gold down there. And then this guy played a blackmail, an innkeeper, and a bunch of gold. So the ties, we both lose our stuff. So there's a tie on this one. So he and I both just lose our stuff because neither one of us were big enough to do that. And the way how you play in the default rules is if you have a tie, you both lose. Or if you lose the auction, you just lose your resources. So the idea is that if you bribe somebody, well, the bribe, they just kept it, and you didn't get what you wanted out of the transaction. So here's the next thing too, the innkeeper here. So this is where this is interesting too. So the innkeeper, he has blackmail on it, and I have 2 gold on the innkeeper, and the other guy has none on anything of his. Well, normally the 1 blackmail over here would trump my 2 gold, even though I have more. The fact that he has blackmail on his at all trumps me. It makes it just, he's higher than me. So, but really, the problem is this. Look at this space. You can see how it's just that barely darker thing. Well, that's not a legal placement. So, blackmailing there is not allowed. So he loses his bid because it was illegal, and I get to keep mine, and so I get to influence the innkeeper. So I would get 3 support, 1 blackmail, 1 influence. So I would get a blackmail back, plus some influence, plus some support, which are points. Now I'm going to move down this. So here's the other thing too. This guy had 7 support, or 7 things out. Well, you're only allowed to have 6. So the last thing on here, this one, he would just lose that. He can't, they go in order, they resolve in order, but since he has 7 things out, his 7th bid would just get lost. So he'd lose those 2 coins, basically. That's the long and the short of it. He loses those 2 coins. So this guy here has a force token on the priest. I have nothing. The other guy has nothing. So he wins the priest, and the priest does, he gives him 6 support, and he also influences the cathedral. So he'd get to put one of his cubes out on the cathedral, plus he'd get 6 points on the points track. 2 gold here to 1 gold here to nothing for me. So the guy with the 2 gold wins that one. The guy with the 1 gold just loses his gold. Next one is the mercenary. He put 1 gold on it, no one else put anything on it. So he wins that. This guy wins the printer as well, who gets 10 support, just an easy, cheap points. Then the rogue, I have 2 gold on the rogue. I bribed him pretty heavy. This guy has 1. So I would win that, so I get 2 blackmail in return for that. We're going all the way through this, but basically the whole point of the game is you're trying to basically understand what do you think your other players are going to do. Like, what do you think they're going to try and do to try and influence the town, to try and, you know, get the town to support them politically or support them in the revolution. And the strategy this guy did of putting just a lot of coins on a lot of things is one that I've used in this game, and honestly it doesn't work too great. I mean, it's good to just kind of win for cheap on stuff that no one else picks, but you spend so much to do that, it doesn't end up working out very well for you sometimes. This guy and myself, I think I played us pretty similarly. Like, you tried to figure out what other people wouldn't pick, but I just basically picked. I tried to make him just have an illegal move in there, and so that way you guys would understand. You know, an illegal move would be resolved that way, but. This game is pretty fun. It's something that you almost have to play it to really understand why it is so fun. The components on this are great. I mean, like, amazing components. And the reason why I wanted to spotlight this game was for 2 reasons. One, Philip duBarry is a really cool designer, and he's not, like, renowned like a lot of other designers out there. And then the other thing, too, is this is a Steve Jackson Games game. So... And I mean, like, the front of the box doesn't look super awesome. We got the Illuminati coin. I mean, like, and whatever else. But Steve Jackson Games is known primarily for, like, Car Wars and Munchkin and things like that. Well, this game's a Euro game. I mean, it's nothing like Munchkin or anything else in their line. So people, a lot of times, I think, would look at that box, which isn't necessarily eye-catching, and they would look at the Steve Jackson Games name on there, and they would probably pass this game over. When this game really, honestly, should probably get, it should get a, I don't know, it should get a second look by a lot of people who wouldn't have thought about playing this game otherwise. So it's a really excellent game, I think. It's a little like Courtier, the last one I did, because you put cubes onto a board. But the way how you're doing the influencing isn't with card play. The way how you're doing the influencing is with, you know, all kinds of different stuff that isn't card play. So, at any rate, that's all, guys. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, Kim, I'm with you. I mean, like, Steve Jackson Games isn't really known for making awesome Euro games, and this one is an awesome Euro game. It's the only Steve Jackson game I own now. I think I sold my copy of Munchkin. So, any other questions or any other comments before I hang it up? Put a cardboard corner on a game that deserves it, Revolution. It's a game that honestly people don't think much of because it is a Steve Jackson game, but it's pretty excellent. So, anything else? Going. Good components, good game. All right, thanks guys.